Yeah, no, they had like literally 10 trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Behind them.
Yeah.
We're gonna. Committee of the whole meeting to order 1 p.m. January the 10th, 2024. Approval of agenda, recommendation that the committee of the whole meeting agenda for January the 10th, 2024 be approved as circulated. Counselor Evans, Counselor Bushel, all in favor. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes, recommendation, the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on December 13th, 2023 be adopted. Counselor Rich, Counselor Evans.
I just have a
Sorry.
amendments to those. Not that it's a big deal, but I just wanted to be reflected accurately around the 425 discussion that council, I mean, it's there that you approved it, but there was a little bit more detail around the tax exemption and everything else. I don't know if you want to put that in there. Is that, I mean, my understanding, of the motion, what was brought forward to council, that's what the developer was asking for, and that's what was agreed to. So I'm not sure if you want clarity around that or if people feel comfortable just the way it's written.
On 425.
Because it was to direct staff to proceed on a certain basis, correct?
Well, the resolution is that we agree in principle to the proposal as presented on that day. So that proposal,
Okay, so that the developer put together was. Okay,
yeah.
all right, yep, no problem.
Are you good?
Yep, good.
Okay, all right. Let's just start all over that. Recommendation that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on December 13th, 2023 be adopted. Counselor Rich, Counselor Bushel, all in favor, carried. Thank you. Okay, delegations. Murray, you're up. Happy New Year. Thanks for being here.
So this is the third quarter presentation, October to December of 2023. And the stats that I just was up to for those 3 months. As always, I started on that with the traffic conditioner. Showing for October, we had 70 traffic stats total for the month. That's tickets and warnings. In November, about half of that, down to 32, and then again descending into December down to 20 for a total of 122. Compared to the same quarter of the previous fiscal year, it's pretty comparable, 122 total versus 134 total. So nothing entirely different there. We had about 5 members working, average about 8 stats per member per month, close to our target, but didn't meet the target of 10 that we set at this time. For impairs, we had 5 for the quarter, 1 in October, 2 in November, and December, for a total of 5. And the previous year, we had a few that was abnormal for us at 9 for the previous quarter in 2022. Moving down, we had obviously we had that tragic collision to report on December the 3rd. December the 3rd, we had a fatal collision between a logging truck on Highway 97A and a van, which resulted in death of the driver of the van. The logging truck crossed into the path, the van resulting in highway was closed for an extended period of time, about 14 hours that afternoon on December 3rd. At the same time that was occurring, we had Highway 1 closed, not in the Sycamores detachment area, but just out of our detachment area, around the 109 logging road near Canoe. We found on the westbound semi truck, which impacted head. That resulted in Highway 1 being closed. At the same time, Highway 97 was closed. Highway 1 was closed from about 2:30 in the afternoon till about 5 o'clock, so about 2.5 hours. And Highway 97 was closed for, like I said, extended period of time, 14 hours. Wasn't open until about 5 a.m. the next morning, where traffic could use that highway. Bringing in the collision analyst, whenever we have a fatality, the highway patrol takes over investigation of that matter. And with the logging truck driver being identified as the cause of that collision, it became a full investigation where they brought in an analyst, do a full investigation of the scene, which takes a lot of time, closes this highway for a long time. And that's why the extended period of closure. So for that time, even an ambulance had to be let through on Highway 1, with both highways being closed. They had to clear a path from the non-fatal collision with the semi, so we could have ambulances pass through, which did occur where the highway was fully open. So I did do a response for Sarah. She had requested something As far as the collisions that we were seeing this winter here, December 3rd was the major event. As everybody knows, we haven't had a lot of precipitation. Temperature's been really good. There hasn't been any, still the drought conditions continue, so we don't have all the snow and ice except for today. So December 3rd was the big event where the roads were really poor quality. I should say for the last couple of days, we've been having this snow, and knock on wood, we've come out really well with it. I was certain that we would have numerous collisions today just based on the conditions that I saw as we were driving around. It was quite icy, even from canoe in, ruts on the ice and whatnot, but we didn't have any collisions to report today, which was surprising. So the crews were addressing it, but it was definitely challenging with the temperatures. It was a -4, and you know, you throw sand on with the semis and it's dispersed, and then effectiveness of the brine as well. So it's kind of in that area, but I did see lots of crews out. Moving on from that, break and enters, we didn't have a lot to report. November 28th, on Phillison, several unoccupied RV campers were entered. Most of them were unlocked. There was a property rep on the scene. It was middle of the afternoon. He saw this suspicious vehicle, went over, and the two people that were with the vehicle, as soon as they were challenged, they departed. They were in the process of stealing things. They had a bunch of items that they had from these RVs that were in storage, and they set them aside. They were about to load them in the truck, and it was diverted by the person on site to solve it. Theft of vehicle is better than it was last quarter. Probably one of the reasons for that. Our suspect that was arrested on Oak Avenue remains in custody. His next court appearance is on January 16th. So to report this quarter, we had an ATV side-by-side stolen in October from Mara. The vehicle was parked behind the residence, like it was easy left inside it. It's a theft of opportunity, I would believe. October 17th, we had an old 2003 Chevy pickup stolen from Mara Lane overnight, and it was discovered burned out in Enderby a couple of days later on the 21st. Moving down, just looking at the stats, our numbers were down this quarter compared to the previous year. We were next page. Down to about 373 calls compared to 429. The biggest drop was driving complaints. We used to have 67, we went down to 30, so half the driving complaints. Maybe because the roads were better, but certainly when the roads are good in the summer, it increases the driving complaints. So don't really know there. Frauds, we had 6 of them, and that was up from 2. There's been Councillor Beach was asking me to put up a session for the public on fraud detection and how to prevent yourself from being the victim of fraud. So we're arranging that to be held here at the library. One of the constables from Salmon Arm is going to do that. She's off work right now, so we were trying to get that tentatively going right away in February. So it may be pushed back a bit, but I will get that done because Councillor Beach wants that to happen. So we'll have that and we'll advertise it and have it here in the library in St. Louis. Hopefully address some of that. Some of the frauds that we were seeing were, you know, the elderly's getting contacted and asked to invest in different Bitcoin and things like that. Some of these confusing things to some people, and promising excellent returns and things like that. So hopefully if we get a bit of an information session, we can get some education out on that. Resources, we have 1 constable returning. Constable Boris will be back January 21st, so he's almost back from his paternity leave. And we have the 1 vacant constable's position. We're waiting for the member in Houston to sell his house. This is a difficult chore to do in today's housing market in winter in Houston. So I hope to see him in spring. My best bet, but I certainly don't expect him to be here prior to that. Yes, that's reported.
All right. Thank you, Murray. Council, any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Richard.
Through the chair, just, it's more of a, like, thank you for all your information and thank you for bringing all that stuff together kind of on the different highways, because I know that Sycamus gets different you know what I mean? Your report's very different from seminar and stuff. So I really appreciate you bringing that all together so we can actually see a clear view of what's going on. But one of the other things I don't know about, so if there is issues with youth and vandalism and theft and that stuff, do they hit these numbers, or because they're under 18, they don't?
I don't know, they're still included in the number.
They are included.
I mean, it's just, so if you had youth that were, say, painting something or throwing rocks, tagging, whatever, that's still included.
So those guys do make.
Yep.
Make the numbers. Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Councillor McCabe, Ms. Council.
Thank you for taking the time to come and do your report. I find it informative also. I mean, noticing on social media like Facebook and stuff, people are selling things that they don't even own and they're asking for a transfer or deposit to hold it. What are the chances of convicting someone on something like that? Get a conviction on something like that?
Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely difficult. And I have had a file like that where someone came in to report to the office that they had put a deposit down on a vehicle that they hadn't even seen yet, didn't know the person, and put a deposit down and drove out here, and the vehicle existed, which is, you know, maybe it wasn't going to exist, but this person was lucky that it did actually exist. And they decided that they didn't want to purchase it, and I think the person that had listed it was actually legitimate, and there was just a question as to whether they had to give the deposit back. But yeah, I see people put their neck out in the situations where they shouldn't, like, so I told this person, like, you're lucky to get your deposit back. Some people would consider that to just be deposit. You change your mind not to buy it, but citizen was trying to be honest and didn't give you the money back. I mean, you put a deposit on the vehicle, you have to see when live in Blind Bay and the cars in second, which just drive up and look at it. Put a deposit down. So, yeah. We've had other ones where someone thought he was getting a great deal on a piece of farm equipment from one of the western states, Montana, Dakota or something, you can't recall the state, but why would you think that you're gonna get a piece of next to new farm equipment for half price? But there's something wrong there. Like, people still farm in the Northwest United States. They're not gonna give that piece of equipment away for free. Like,
Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you about December 3rd, because I was planning on putting up my Christmas decorations that afternoon in G&G, and all of a sudden we were completely full with people that were completely stranded. And then it, you know, a lot of people were, I don't know, just kind of complaining that there was no way out of town at that point. And it just, how often has that happened? Because I can't remember it ever happening, but
I mean, you've been here longer than me. I've been here since 2016 and I haven't called it happening.
right, okay.
It's rare.
Yeah, well, it was really odd because there was nowhere you can go. We had people stranded from Salmon Arm, then we had people stranded, you know, multiple hours there, and I just couldn't remember that ever happening, but I wasn't sure. if
Yeah,
there's
the alternative would be drive up to try to get down through Clearwater if you want to go all the way.
Well, the alternative was to go, I think, through Nakusp and then down into Vernon if you wanted to go that way at that point, right? Like there was just one, but that's not much of a way, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, I just wanted to ask that because like I said, I didn't.
No, I think it's the first time.
Thank you. Councillor Bushel?
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, and with what Malcolm was saying about, you know, market things selling on marketplace. I know there was a thing on Global News in Vancouver where they're encouraging everybody to do those transactions at the police station.
Yep.
And so that's just, you know, something that, you know, normally the thieves probably wouldn't want to do that transaction.
Yeah, they refer to like the watch for sale type of thing, things like that, like, you know. To me, it's sketchy, like I wouldn't want to go meet a stranger to buy an iPhone or a watch or something. Yes. Sounds like potential for it to go wrong, like, yes, that is a good idea to meet in a public place, of course. Something rather than just a parking lot where they can try to take whatever you have and buy.
Marie, just to the fraud training session that, and you've picked the library as the venue. Most of these folks, I think, are seniors that are getting targeted. Would it be a better idea to move that to the senior center to involve more of them? As
Yeah,
opposed to here?
Councillor Beach about that, and so we were thinking of 2 sessions.
Okay.
One at the library, and then we'll try to give a second one at the senior center around lunch.
Yeah.
So when they have the crowds come in for the lunch and then maybe have the session afterwards and then wants to stick around, can do that, so, yeah. we-
Perfect. That's a great idea. No, good, good. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Murray.
Thank you, Maria.
Thanks, man.
Okay, bylaw, offense notice and bylaw, dispute adjudication system. Recommendation that the district is sick.
Sorry, Sarah, do you need?
6A.
Sorry, I'll put this first.
Oh, sorry, I missed a whole section there. Operations and infrastructure update, Daryl. Sorry.
I was out of my chair, so you probably just go over.
Okay. And we love your presentations. Yeah, so sorry, I missed you.
Yes, this will be kind of just a quick round the world review, some of the stuff from last year, and then some of the things coming up for this year. We have a little bit of a special treat at the end.
See, could have missed all this.
Okay, so high level review of last year. So just some random stats. We did 20 full mowing cycles last year, 4 highway flail cycles, 19 full plow cycles, which was low. Typically we're 25 or more. So this was actually, when we count winter, we talk about last spring and we talk about right up till New Year's. So little light on the plow cycles last year, which is a good thing, but we had more freezing rain events. It's usually 5 to 10. We were high with 11 this year. Just little stats. 228 hydrants serviced. We did about 200 fiber repairs of the water treatment plant. So those filters that we have, the cartridges along the trains, those have to be repaired when the fibers give up. So we did about 200 repairs of that. We produced 706,000 cubes of water last year. And we make our own hypochlorite. So we bring in salt and we do the chlorine ourselves. That works out to about 706 million super soaker fill-ups. So that's liters, that's a liter. 60 tons of road salt on about 570 tons of sand. So that ratio is really good. It's a conservative ratio. We're looking at 9.5 to 1. It's you go down east and they will just hit it with sand. Like sometimes it's 2 to 1 or straight sand or straight salt. We have a really good ratio environmentally. 9.5 to 1 is really good. So good number. 10 tons of fractured chip. We pull that stuff out when it's really icy and really cold. And the salt doesn't work because it's so cold. We put that on and it gives you extra bite. So we paved 1.9 kilometers of roadway, including White Pines, Capel. On the east side, we did a big long stretch that hadn't been done. And then Capel West, obviously, with the water line, did that all the way down to the boat launch. And Meyer Road got done as well and applied. We've got new water line, 250 mil water line, 50 meters of that on Capel, that was a big project. And we did 6 new pickleball courts. The biofuel facility is operational. The Capel job is completed and widened on the road. This is the last anybody has to see of Kerr Road culvert. I won't bring it up again. That was done this year. Fire hall got painted. Did a few other odd jobs around town. That's signage to go up on Mirror Lake Lane. We'll have some additional parking on there. We alleviate some of the parking issues. We had some rec events for Canada Day, well attended for the fireworks. We've converted a bunch of streetlights over to LED. There's still a handful on Bayview waiting for parts, but we'll have that number up to 85 when we're done, and that should be done in the next few weeks. Main Street Landing, the stairs were hit by a Scud missile, so we fixed those. That got done late in the year. We converted Tecumseh Beach over to Flocky's Beach, made it a dog-friendly area. We went back and forth with the Eagle Valley Arts Council, and we've dedicated Riverside and parts of Finlayson for their banners. They're happy, we're happy. We got poles coming in. We did get that commercial dishwasher into the curling rink that came out of the daycare. So that's been plugged in. That's my dog at home, and she emails me if it's after 7 and it's still in here. So this year going forward, we've got a lot of things. We're working closely with MOCI over the Bruin Road stability. We want to make sure we have a handle on any shifting that takes place on those slopes with the bridge activities. So we want to get out, get some surveys done right before they start their construction. Three-phase power, we're bringing that over as well. So that's coordination through MOTI so that we can upgrade CPR booster station. Working with the province to move the Owlhead bike trail forward. Kelsey is our worker with the province. She has been in touch with me as of last week, and we're in the queue. We're in the referral process. Section 57 is top of her priorities. I did meet with the Shuswap Trail Alliance. I know Gordon's going, yeah, sure. I met with the Shuswap Trail Alliance here last week, and Jen and Adrian brought forward another grant that we can go for. It's the Pacific and federal grant, so it would pay for 2/3 of our first phase. So we're submitting a letter to try to get that funding. Hopefully that's a little more leverage to keep this moving ahead, because there'll be timelines assigned on that. Moore Street Lift Station, you're looking to bring independent power to that. Right now it runs under the sidewalk along Riverside from Yonge Street. We've had power disruptions and had to go into that paving stone and find a splice and repair it. It's got to be redone so it gets direct power. So we've got Hydro on sign with the design. They're going to come in the spring and give us direct power. Then we can abandon that line under the sidewalk so that when we go to do Riverside this year, it's not in the way, causing all kinds of problems with the services that come off. That'll be coming to the council meeting tonight to try to get a resolution so we can move forward with that power initiative. It's 16 weeks out to get the kiosk in. Highway 97, Highway 1 trail crossing. It's on our radar. We're going to push to see what we can do. Find a quick win and get a trail through there. Riverside waterline upgrade is scheduled for this year. We'd be doing where we left off on Capel. We would come and do half of Riverside. So that's in the works. It's it'll come forward. LED street light conversion continues. On track is on track. We've got it signed. So there's notices to people going by. Trees are down. I've been in touch with the designer. They're planning to be out here in May, so they would like to get going on that one. They've got a factory building in Kamloops. They want to come straight over at the end of that one, end of May, get going on ours. And I know Carly's working hard in the background, trying to get our first race in the fall. So that's looking pretty positive. More stuff. So we are continuing with our sanitary system modeling. It's going to guess probably 75% done. This year we'll have that completed. Want to get the Mare Lake water permitting completed. Main Street improvements. Now that we're kind of putting pieces in place with 425, getting an idea what the lay of the land is, we can start to analyze and plan on what the improvements, the front side improvements look like and what we need for infrastructure there. Sports field rehab is on the radar for this year. Tennis court resurfacing. And finalization of the infrastructure master plan, which is probably 99%. Wastewater treatment plant has been a big piece for us. We have everything in place. We're waiting for the province to get back to us. They told us 120 days they would be responding and we'd have a pre-application meeting. We're right at the end of that window now. So we're going to file a cage and see if we can get that going. A few extra things on the radar. So Beach Park Pavilion, we're looking for ideas to bring forward with just options and costing for getting pavilion into the beach park. Solar lights, the entrance signs is something that's still on our radar. We do have some quotes on that. They were really, really high. We'll revisit that. We're exploring the opportunity to get disc golf into the nature trail, see how viable that might be. So we've reached out to the local native band. We're hoping to get some endorsement there, a little bit of support. I think it'd be a really cool thing for Sicklewoods to get a disc golf course. A waterfront dock replacement is scheduled for this year. I love the high lift pump rebuild, actually, you can almost cross that one off. It was done yesterday, so they were tuning that stuff this morning. And then we're working on having a bulk water station available. So we're doing some internal plumbing at the water treatment plant. And the thinking is to use the loading dock for the infrequent times that we get asked for bulk water. That would be a perfect location. And then we've got all the infrastructure there, so. Pedestrian bridge, we are currently getting some renderings done so that we can have some conceptual designs to bring forward and to get some input from both Splatson and obviously council. Without renderings, it's really hard to move anything forward. So we did get a study done by Urban. The temperature in the room at the time was, we were looking at an arch bridge, and Splatson does support that. We've been in touch with them through Nations Connect. And anything that's out of the water or least impact is most favorable to them. They want to be at the table. So without having some renderings, we could just talk forever. We're getting some renderings done, and we'll have something to bring forward. I'll keep everybody posted on how to share that. There's actually from UBCM, we had good contacts there. Okay, special treat. So council's been in place for a little bit over a year. Public Works has recently gone through some pretty significant changes with Will retiring. So we started 2023 with 5 utility staff. We are going into 2024 with 5 utility staff, but the jobs have changed. The assignments, the scope of work for these guys has changed. They've bumped around and they've taken on different assignments. We have some new titles. We have some new positions. There's some learning going on. We have an amazing team over there. I thought after a year, it'd be great if you guys could put a face to a name. Got them out there.
We're gonna rate them.
I just want to give just a minute blurb on each guy. Yeah.
Great idea. Daryl's presentations, they're always so entertaining.
Oh, worth the money. People pay good money for something.
Promise these guys. Yeah, sure. You can stand. Sure. I promise these guys I wouldn't weird them out, and I'm really not trying to do that. So closest to the door is Rick Gibbons. Rick's been with us 2 months. So he's getting his legs. He came from Caravans West. He did utilities over there. Got a ton of skills. Everything. You're a red seal carpenter. Well, Rick's been with us a short time. He's already written his wastewater treatment level 1 and passed it. So yeah, we're glad to have him on board. He's going to be a real asset for us. He's keen. He'll be on the on-call rotation soon enough. Then I'll go to call.
Excellent. Welcome, Rick.
You guys are standing in the right order. It's like you rehearsed it. We really did. So Colin's been with us for 9 years. 9 years. So just as we were building the water treatment plant, Colin came on board, and with 135 defects when the construction teams left, nothing worked right. And there was hours and hours in the evenings and round the clock. And I mean, everybody pitched in, but Colin is our chief operator for water treatment and knows that plant inside out. He's been invaluable to us and to the whole crew. And the community doesn't know what these guys do behind the scenes, but I do. So wanted to meet Colin.
Thanks, Colin.
To Skylar here. Skylar, 10 years ago when I got here, Skylar was working in parks. He'd been coming every summer. He was a weed eater and lawnmower. He did some mosquito control, probably a ton of other really crappy jobs. And he, his own initiative, went out and he took the operator and training course at Sacramento College, did it online, and he had that in his back pocket waiting for an opportunity to get into utilities. So he did, and he hasn't stopped taking courses and learning and networking and just really has a good lay of the land. He's now our team lead for utilities. So.
Awesome.
We're really lucky to have Tyler.
Congratulations.
Tony's been a great acquisition, 2 years. 2 years for Tony. We poached him from Lumbee and I just love it because he comes with all kinds of experience. He runs equipment. He's great in the field, great with the guys. We're super lucky to have Tony. So that's Tony. And
Awesome.
his new assignment, sorry, he's gonna be the chief distribution, water distribution. So top operator. And then Cody, not last but not least. Cody is, I guess I felt like if you were at the gas station and you had like a scratch and win and you won big, that's how I felt when we hired Cody. He was under our nose and he was living in Sycamoose. He's a level 4 wastewater treatment operator, which you can't go higher than 4. No, so he's as good as it gets. He was here in Sycamoose working in Samanon. So we got him in and we're at a point in our history where his knowledge is going to be valuable. These guys respond at, midnight or 2 in the morning to like pumps or water breaks or whatever. Like these guys keep things running and can't say enough about the group. What impresses me the most about these guys is how they interact with each other. They got each other's backs. And it's just, they're amazing.
That's awesome. Good job. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
So,
Nice.
That pretty much takes me to that. I did have some stuff that go into like the crazy, it's like sitting like the scientists in the morning. I'm not even kidding. It's like biologists and chemists and this morning was physics. Like these guys analyze and do things behind the scenes. It's amazing. It really is. Anyway,
great.
yeah, so that's it.
Thanks, Daryl.
Very good.
Yeah, we're fortunate to have them and you as well. So thank you for all you do as well. Council, any questions? Councillor Rich, Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair, I was up at 6 a.m. in town this morning and the roads were all clear. Yeah, so thank you. I was like super amazed actually, because the highways weren't clear and my roads weren't clear. And I was like snow plowing with my minivan and I got into Sycamoose and it was like, really open to.
Grab the ops guys and bring them in one day too, because
Yeah,
Yeah.
just,
dedicated.
yeah, like 6 a.m. It was like,
Earlier.
there was no snow anywhere. Like on the main roads, not in the tree streets, but on the main roads. And then one question is, how long does it take to build a pump track?
They're telling me about a month.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Easy. Councillor Bushel.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, great work, Daryl. Keep up the good work. I just wanted to ask you, when you were talking about the Broom Bridge and the construction and all the vibration and everything over there, have you been dealing a little at all with the villas at all? The villa people up in the villas or?
We have been in touch with the villas quite a bit at first. It's been quiet lately. There hasn't been a lot going on.
Yeah.
We heard from them a lot when the trees were coming down and when there was some traffic disruptions. It's been pretty quiet so far. They have our cards, they have my card, and I haven't heard anything.
Okay. I know, I'm just curious because, I think Sheena had mentioned it some time ago about them being worried about where they sit and what could happen. So as long as we're in touch with them, that's great.
Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, that was great. That's a great way to recognize folks and appreciate them. And was a wonderful way to build a team there.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to you.
Awesome.
Daryl.
Well, they're an awesome team.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to actually give you some feedback and I meant to do this before, but I've been hearing a lot of really, and I know Jamie reports to you as well.
Yeah.
And I've heard lots of great compliments lately, like I think the tree and the fireworks and the parade and even our Christmas party. Like, I think she's done a great job. And I've heard that from several people out in the community as well. That I think she's hit it out of the park a few times this year. Certainly, the most comments I got, positive comments, was around the tree light up. That was just a fantastic event. And the parade, I guess, was the most, a lot of times I miss some of this stuff because I'm working, but I'm told it was the biggest parade that we ever had. So, kudos to you two and your entire team.
I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, and I wanted to pass that on. I meant to do it earlier, but since we're praising and thanking people, I just wanted to add that.
That's awesome. Yeah, there was 40, I think 40 in the parade. I think most of town was in the parade, so there wasn't a lot of the tree light up because they were all over the place. Councillor Evans.
Yeah, the end of Main Street, I went around with my car around the roundabout and I wanted to get a GoPro and just do a roundabout of that display of the presidents and the trees, like, and then the way that Main Street looked this year, it looked like world class. So keep up the good work.
Looks really good, really good. Anyone else? Councillor Beach.
Through the chair, while we're thanking Daryl and everybody, I just want to say thank you for all the efforts on the holiday train and getting all of that ready too. That was huge. It was a great success for the society in terms of raising money for the hamper campaign. And yeah, no, just really appreciate all of the support.
Pass that on to Jamie, you know, Brett was a part of that as well.
Yes, and Jamie was a big part of that as well, and Brett and everybody, like, it's just really well done, and it's recognized by CPKC now as one of their most favorite stops.
Wow.
And they stop in a lot of places across Canada, but they love the feeling of Sicamous. They love the spirit and the response and the involvement. So yeah, big kudos.
Yeah, it was a good, great event. Okay, anyone else? Okay, thanks, Daryl. Thank you. Okay, let's move along. See, I missed that one. Bylaw offense notice and bylaw dispute adjudication system. Recommendation that the District of Sicamous Committee of the Whole direct staff to pursue the implementation of the bylaw offense notice and bylaw dispute adjudication system for enforcement of District of Sicamous bylaws and request inclusion in the bylaw dispute and adjudication registry. I get a mover? Councillor McCabe, Councillor Rich. John, take it away.
The chair, please be patient with me. Very familiar with PowerPoints, so this is to just. So our current ticketing system is through the municipal ticketing information. Fines on that system range from $100 to $1,000. The main drawback of the system is that they must be delivered to an individual. So when I'm serving a ticket, I actually have to hand it to the person that I'm serving it to. And if somebody wants to dispute it, it has to be dealt with through court. Now, while we do ticket vehicles with this system, the court has been lenient with them while the bond system is in its development and initiation throughout the province, and allowing them to stand even if not delivered correctly. But it is something to be aware of that going forward with the bonds, or going forward, the courts are going to start not recognizing MTIs on vehicles and waiving the tickets that were issued for those. In regards to the short-term rental ticketing, because the majority of short-term rentals are out of province owners, it's very difficult to actually issue an MTI to them for violations of the rules. And I mean, we can hire a server to serve them in their hometowns, but then we're looking at another expense versus just switching to the bond system, which is valid when it's mailed. Currently, we don't have any fines for short-term rentals. I believe that's coming forward on the 24th.
It'll have to come through bylaw change for the short-term rentals through the business licensing bylaw. But again, we discussed this.
If we do switch to the proposed system, the bond system, they will gradually replace the MTI system throughout all of our bylaws. As I said earlier, they can be mailed and still be valid. The one major difference between them or another major difference is bonds can only be $500 maximum versus the 1,000 that's currently for the MTI. But that is under review by the provincial government along with the MTI system for this amount of fines. If we choose to go with the bylaw offense notices, we'll have to apply to the Solicitor General to be included in the registry. Once we're included in the registry, then we can move forward, joining an education system, implementing the bylaw changes. Current communities in our immediate area that are doing the bond system, Vernon Lake Country, Aggregate, Kelowna, the CSRD switched last year, Revelstoke switched this year, Golden, and from my understanding, Salmon is also looking into switching to the bond system, so. Included in the report is the local government bylaw dispute education system toolkit. This goes into greater detail than the report that I produced, illustrating the benefits and the processes that are followed. The anticipated cost for switching this is a minimum of $300 a year to be part of an education system. That could go up to $2,000. Now that is totally dependent on which group we join for the education system and how many disputes there are on the tickets. One thing that would partially offset that cost is we are allowed under the bond system to apply a fee for disputes for failed disputes. So if somebody comes and disputes a ticket and they lose, we get an extra fee on top of that to offset the cost of the adjudicator. The other portion of that would be getting new tickets printed, which I'm currently estimating $800 for 1,000 tickets. It's just a matter of getting a printer to add our logo, addresses, etc., to a standardized form, and then get. One thing that's put in here is we can expect an increase in revenue on the tickets because of the ease of dispute and collections of them versus the MTIs. Through the education system, they come, if they're disputed, they come to the educator, he says yes or no, and they pay it or they don't. Through court, when I go to court, I have to present all my evidence, and then the judge has to decide first if the offense occurred, then if the fine is of a reasonable amount, and then whether they're guilty or not. So it's a much less complicated system.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions? Councillor Bailey.
So this new system, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you can actually just mail them the offense notice with, please pay $500 for this offense. And you never, am I correct that you don't actually have to interact with that person? You could, right? I'm just talking.
Yeah, through the chair, yes, I could technically just mail a ticket and not have to interact with the property owners. However, that's not our policy. We always go with education first. So they would either receive a phone call or a letter or email from me, letting them know the situation. You know, it's just a replacement ticket system with a little easier administration on the back.
Is that correct?
Okay.
And so the, yeah, I mean, I get, we're kind of going in that way where these are more administrative offenses and they're not going into court, and this is kind of a trend. I don't know how I feel about that trend overall, but I mean, as you mentioned, that a lot of towns are doing this. How does so if somebody says like, this ticket, I don't deserve this ticket, and it goes to this adjudication, you know, what does that kind of look like to give them a chance to legitimately say that I don't think I deserve this ticket? I mean, court, you have all these rules and everything's very proper in terms of you have your chance to say your side of the deal, you as well. But what does the adjudication process kind of look like?
Through the chair. The adjudication system is similar to a court system. While I don't actually have to attend the adjudication meetings, I do have to send all of my evidence in to the adjudicator. And then they get their submission, either in person or through writing from the defendant. And then would base their decisions on that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, I support this. I know the old system is really difficult and it's old, and the new short-term rental issue could become a real problem if we had to go the other route. And I did go through the provinces, not all 62 pages or whatever it was, but I did go through it, and it's pretty straightforward, and it looks like it's pretty open-ended, and you can actually work with a person where you don't have to go to court and be so, stringent. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I guess we're gonna, Council Bailey, go ahead.
Just one thing, I think I could, I would support this, as long as that we have very clear policies in place and that we're trying to get compliance rather than we're just sending it. Like, and the reason I say that is not that you would necessarily do this. I'm trying to think a few years down the road, right? That we don't just fall into a bit of a lazy habit of where we're sending this out, because I think that would hurt us in the end, right? All of this bylaw stuff requires people to do the right thing. If a whole bunch of people all of a sudden just say, forget it, I'm frustrated and you guys are not being fair, then the system kind of breaks down. And I think that's, to me, when I look at this, that's the potential of it. Or it's used as, it's a revenue generator for the town as well, which I don't want to see us get to that either. So, as long as we have a very clear process in place where we are trying to get that person to comply before we mail out the ticket, then I think this could work. If we get lazy and we just do it off the bat, then I don't think it will work. I think it'll just cause more tension than what's worth. So that's my only point. And I don't know what our policy looks like around that already. If that needs to be strengthened with this new system coming in place, maybe that's something we should just consider.
Yeah, thanks. Good points. Yeah, and I think John does do a little bit education before he, go ahead, John.
I'd like to say that our policy currently does state that education is our first action, unless it's something that involves life or health safety. So it's would never, or I shouldn't say should never, but that is going to be our first priority. And while I'm in this position, it will remain the first priority. As part of the adoption of the bond system, we also have to review and make additions to the policy. So if there's strengthening of that language, it would be very easy to put in at that time.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Councillor Evans.
Thank you. Through the chairs. John, I'm sure you've talked to other people that are using this new system and you're getting good feedback on it.
Through the chair, yes. I'm getting very good feedback from other bylaw officers that I know in the province. It is a much easier system to utilize and administrate. And it does save them a lot of time, allowing them to be in the field and doing their jobs versus being in court. The average court case is about 4 hours versus the disputes on an education system is sending the paperwork to the educator and they're done. So.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, John. Okay, RVP-4 zone, zoning amendment bylaw 1054-102 Martin Street and 902 Riverside Avenue. Nicole's gonna take this over, but I'm gonna recuse myself from this for optics. So Councillor Bushel, if you want to switch space in here. Or take my chair.
Thank you. Hey, Nicole, you take this away.
Okay, through the chair. So we just wanted to facilitate some further conversation about our proposed RVP4 zone. The zone is being created to facilitate a Bearland strata on Riverside and Martin. Yeah, you have it wrong point. That's okay. It's carried on here. Yeah.
Share this.
That's okay. Okay, so in December, the proposal went to first reading and the draft was attached to the staff report for today. Since then, the developer has requested some different setbacks than what was proposed in December. And so that's what we're hoping to discuss today. We have the fire chief in, the developer in to answer any questions regarding the setback discussion. And I just wanted to a reminder, sorry, Kelly, it's the slide before. What we're doing with this bylaw is creating the new RVP4 zone and then rezoning 2 properties to that zone, facilitate the Bearland strata. Yeah, this was the map of the 2 properties. And just another quick reminder, it's the 26 lot Bearland strata for rec vehicles and park model trailers in a public walkway. And so at the top of the slide is what we have proposed in the draft bylaw. And specifically, we're looking at the interior side setback at 1.5. And so the developer has proposed 1 meter interior side setback instead of the 1.5. And that is for the utility side of a strata lot. And in the next slide, it's the map showing the utility sketch plan. A little hard to see, but the darker black lines are where utilities are proposed. And I'm hoping that, Todd, you're available to talk about, what your proposal is there with the setbacks.
Yeah, so basically, we keep all the utilities on one side, on the right-hand side of each street side. So the buildings would be up against that side, so they would be an offset from the next building. So you can see kind of where the car parking is, that area would all be open and probably quite, I don't know, anywhere from probably a 3 to 6 meter opening. And then the building will be up 1 meter up against his perimeter fence.
Excuse me, Todd, Kelly, can you zoom in on one lot? Can you zoom in?
Can't in PowerPoint. Oh, actually, I lied.
Todd, do you want to just pop up on the screen and just trying to show what you mean? Like, I know what you mean, but but maybe not everything.
Power, water, and sewer will come up on this side of the, so we keep all the buildings to that side, which would give this dead space on the next lot. So they would all be offset. So this guy couldn't put his building over here. We created in the strata bylaws, or we created in these bylaws, that they'd all have to be offset so that this will still give ample room to the next. And it's not gonna be a, it shouldn't be a fire issue.
So yeah, and your space would probably work out to be, what do you figure?
Well, it would depend, maybe this guy might build a deck or something, but it'd probably be anywhere from 3 meters and up. So you'd have 4.5 meters per, to the next unit.
Okay,
Minimum.
right? Nicole, you have, oh, sorry, go ahead, Siobhan.
Through the chair. Todd, one of the things, because I've been hanging out in our neighborhoods lately, these guys build big decks and roofs off. And when you look around town to the ones, when someone's got their propane tank, and I mean, I was in one the other day, actually, and I'm looking at that thing and I'm like, if the snow load comes off that, if it's hard, it could literally take out this guy's trailer window. Like that's how close that snow load, is that an issue? Cause I was like, if I would have opened the kitchen window and gotten on a stool, I could have touched the next guy's canopy or whatever you want to call, or like it's his deck,
Great.
right? So does that become an issue, and is there a slope load and snow issues and stuff? Because all that crap is, you know, depending, and I mean, I know it only happens once every 20 years here, but it does where we get a giant dump of snow, and if that falls onto Buddy's thing, or he's got his, you know, all these places have those giant propane tanks.
Yeah, I think for the most part, you're gonna have, like I said, at least a 3 to 6 meter space, and then there's a fence there as well.
So there are gonna be fences in
Yeah,
between
there'll
them?
be fences dividing them.
Okay.
I just also mentioned too, Siobhan, that I know which one you're talking about, and they actually have to build it to code, like now the building inspectors, you know, on every one of those permits is gonna make sure it's built to code. And that one you're looking at wasn't built to code, so he has to correct that.
Okay,
And he also has to stop the snow from coming off that roof onto that neighbor's property. Yeah,
okay.
but that park is a little bit of a non-conforming park. There's 2 parks in town that are all non-conforming. And when you start fresh like this, you can really set the rules, and that's what hopefully we're here today to do.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Go ahead, Darian.
Yeah, so on that side, then from the outside of the park model to the fence, you're proposing 1 meter.
Correct.
And that, none of the, so you said that's the electrical side.
Electrical, water and sewer.
So there wouldn't be like air conditioners on that side or anything like that?
Probably the air conditioners are put at the back. You don't have enough room in the 1 meter spot.
Right, so that 1 meter would stay completely clear.
Be at the back or,
So that 1 meter would stay completely clear.
well, unless they park bikes there.
Paddleboards.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, thanks. I just say, I think that's one of the things that we've been struggling with the other parks is, and I mean, I'm sure Brett will have some comments, but that was one of the things where we kind of landed on 1.5 was we were struggling with fire access and issues around that, and then other people building into that 1 meter. I mean, we have lots of different examples of where that's kind of happened in these other parks. Not saying this is going to be that, but yeah, anyways, I'd be happy to hear other comments.
Thank you, Ian. Bob, you're next, but Kelly will go first. Go for it. Do you want to?
I just have a quick question. I've got the point of view. So this is 1 meter, this is 1.5 meters.
No, the lot is actually 28 feet wide. So
like if we did like, you know, minimum of 1 on one side, but
Yeah.
between distance between the two, it has to be at least 3 meters.
Yeah.
That still works.
yes,
So that was previously what the Silver Sands one was that it was like you can go to a minimum of 1 meter, but between the two constructed
the next guy over couldn't.
has to be at least 3 meters apart. Yeah, I just wanted clarity on that.
Yep, thanks, Kelly. Bob?
So yeah, thank you through the chair. So Todd, essentially what you're doing is you're making things more uniform so that they're more evenly spaced. It actually will increase access.
Yeah, there'll be
On the
way more
one side.
access, rather than like, if you look at some of the parks now,
Mhm,
the 2 park models are right side by side.
mhm,
And there's hardly a meter there.
Mhm.
So that's why we want to offset the buildings.
Yeah.
They are going park models, and
Mhm.
most RVs will always be closest to where the power, water, sewer is anyways. So that's just a given. They're gonna park there.
Yeah, so it's just, it's making it more efficient.
Right.
Thank you.
Brett, did you have any comments you wanted to?
From having conversations with Tyson, some of the issues with the park models has been, because they're not built to building code, they're not required by building code to have the normal setbacks that are commented on. There's talk about having these siting permits and things like that. And there was also part of the conversation was in other communities, they don't allow park models because of they're not built to building code. I don't really have an issue with the construction of the park models, and obviously for me, I like to see more space for my crews to work. What Todd is proposing, I like the idea, that single service down one side, the park model's closest to that side for that service in that unit, right? The next one is offset as well, so it's gonna be more spacing. I think the challenge is the fence, but you know, it's not the end of the world. At least we'll have some access from the other units. Sides, like there'll be more room off it there. I was a little concerned that it would service down one side and then two park models, you know, less a meter apart.
Yes, no, we got.
Yeah,
You want to keep them offset.
that clarification certainly gives me a higher level of comfort. It's gonna be up to council to determine which way to go with this, but I think from Todd's explanation, I have a higher level of comfort because it won't be.
Well, they're not gonna be up to these.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Brad. Go ahead, Ian.
Just a question to, Nicole. One of the things that we're trying to do with this RFP is not constantly keep changing all these things, right? And that's been a big challenge for us, and it's a big challenge for the planning department. So if we kind of look forward here a little bit and somebody else comes and says, which I think invariably they are going to, would we be comfortable with the planning department? I guess I'm asking your professional opinion here. Would you be comfortable with kind of replicating this for others? Because one of the challenges we have is, well, you did it there, why don't you do it for me? And, it's as long as I guess we're comfortable future casting this to other lots and giving people that. Yeah, so that's a
Yeah.
question.
Through the chair, I think this is appropriate, and it could be appropriate for future developments as well. I do encourage the citing permits though, because they don't follow or have to go get a building permit. There's going to be maybe some way for us to just double check that these are being placed where they're supposed to and that they're appropriately spaced from one another. I guess there's probably other options. I'm not going to say one is better than the other, like covenants on title and things like that about placement, but it's probably easier through a citing permit process. As they come and get placed, that's when we would review it.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. Todd, did you say it's gonna be in your strata bylaws as well?
Yeah, we didn't put it in the strata bylaws as well.
Okay. Okay. All right, anybody else have any other questions? Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, I was just going to summarize because we could, if you go back to the slide, we could remain firm on the setbacks that we have proposed at the top there, or we could change that to 1 and allow future developments and this development to have 1. Or we could have a site-specific reg for these 2 properties to have 1 and not allow other future ones. So there's a few different options we can go here, but it kind of sounds like maybe 1 would be supported.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Well, if we do 1, right, but then say, but there has to be a maximum distance of 3 meters between, right? So we're still getting that 3 meters, so, but a minimum of 1, so there's the flexibility. And if that's the case, it's such a big deal to apply it to all, right?
Yep.
We're still getting that 3 meter buffer between.
And we also did that over at Hilliard.
Yeah.
Hilliard.
Provide the flexibility when lots are small. Sometimes it's not so cut and dry, so maybe there'd be less, issues in the future. I don't know.
That's good wording, as long as there's 3 there. Go ahead.
Through the chair. Yeah, just so I understand, so what we've done a 1.5 with or we're moving towards doing that with the other 2, like we're literally making their own bylaw for 2 parks. So are they gonna come back and say, why do they get 1 and we don't? And then we have to go and say, okay, they're staggered. Like, I really like the staggered idea and that we're giving them the space. But I also think we need to be very careful when we do that, they're gonna, because they wanted less. And we negotiated and we're now saying 1.5, and I understand that part, like both those parks. And I've been in them quite often. I mean, it's very willy-nilly in there, and that's not what Todd's doing. He's going to stagger them. We're gonna have the space. He understands that we're trying to just keep people alive and not have them burn up. But how do we then get through that? I guess that's a question for Nicole. how do we then negotiate that? Because we've been back and forth with these other parks. We're now coming back, we're saying you can have 1.5 from the 3, and then we're going, but these guys get 1. And I'm not against the 1. I'm just saying, how do we negotiate that?
Through the chair. So you're talking about RVP 1 and 2, which is going to come to council tonight, and their interior side setback is set for 1 as well.
It is a.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, I mean, I like Kelly's idea. I think we should just standardize this. If we're gonna go with 1 here, then let's just, that's it with the RPV 4 zone, as long as we get the 3 on each side. Brett, I think is comfortable with the fire safety issues, which I think is a big key issue going forward. And we don't want any issues with this anyways. We want to make sure Brett's gonna get in there safely. So it sounds like, you know, it still gets us to kind of standardizing it, because it has been a real problem, right? And I think we can expect more of this. So I think if we put the language in around that, it's gonna create clarity for the planning department, gonna create clarity for people who want to propose these developments. But then I think my point would be, we absolutely have to hold firm on it. Like, no tinkering around with this anymore, really. Because as we've seen, as we do that, we just get ourselves backed into a corner. And then, you know, on RVP 1 and RVP 2, we're trying to Jenga this thing to come up with something that can work for these parks, but still kind of work for us on life safety issues. And I just think this is a good learning opportunity for us. And I think just want to highlight that if we can get this standardized and clarity around it, then it's good for us. It's good for developers too, because they don't have to do a whole bunch of guesswork. Obviously good for the planning department as well to speed these things through. So, but I would support it under those conditions. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Anybody else? Pam, go ahead.
Chair, I agree with Ian. I think the consistency is easier on this one because Todd hasn't started, you know, like we're not dealing with an existing park where people have already placed. And then we're trying to fit like we are on the other 2.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a different situation, but I like the look of this. It looks consistent and it looks tidy. Somebody said willy-nilly, and that's kind of the impression you get sometimes of these kind of park model arrangements. Everybody does something a little bit different. I like this. It just looks like the consistency would be good going forward, but it's hard to compare it. I think to park model placement that's already started, where there's a variety of things going on, so.
Okay, that's good. Anybody else? Nicole, do you want to wrap up or anything? You got enough to move forward to the public hearing?
That's good.
Okay, great. Todd, you got anything else?
Thanks.
It's good, Brett. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, moving forward, let's see if Colleen's out there. She wants to come back in.
I can get her.
Jimmy's run.
So was that just for information, or is that require a council vote, or what?
No, it doesn't need a vote because we'll,
Council.
yeah,
Just for discussion now and then, it'll be at the council.
yeah, for second reading. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole.
No, I mean, this amendment to the bylaw before it goes to public hearing.
Well, we haven't done second reading yet. So at second reading, it'll be there. And so. Yes, then it'll go to public hearing.
You never know.
Thank you.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Brett and Todd.
Okay, District Sigma zoning amendment bylaw number 1044, 2024, housekeeping, Nicole. Take it away.
Okay, so the housekeeping bylaw was brought for first and second reading last summer. And it was tabled, I think mostly because of the rail trail rezoning. Since then, we've had a couple property owners approach us to change their zoning to better reflect what's currently on their lot. So some corrections that we need to make. So we will have to do second reading as amended. And we're hoping to do that at the next council meeting, not tonight. But we wanted to just bring everyone up to speed on what we were doing with the housekeeping bylaw. We had, oh yeah, that's good. 524 DeBell. That's the water treatment plant. It's zoned currently as P1 and it probably should be P2. So that's included in the housekeeping. These are the two property owner requests. So on the left, we have 717 Trans-Canada Highway. Right now they're zoned commercial 1 and they should probably be residential. There's an existing home on the lot and they're not a commercial business. Once you start going east, those ones are commercial. So that's a request from the owner. And then 913 Roma Crescent. Right now it's zoned R1, but it should be MUR1 because I think it's a duplex or a fourplex in there, not a single family home. And then of course the 3 rail trail parcels right now are zoned R1 and are proposed to go to see that, yeah. And so that's just a reminder, and we're hoping to bring that to council Feb 14th. We'll have to do second amended in the public hearing, so we have to send out notifications, but just reminding everyone about the housekeeping bylaw and what we were doing with that.
Okay.
And I believe there's other changes to it as well, like grammar, formatting, some definition tweaks. We didn't bring that up today because we had talked about them before. It was just really the properties that are different than what we talked about before. Yeah.
Okay, so you're bringing this, this is just for information. So do you want some council comments on it?
100%.
Councilor Bushel.
Okay, to the chair, thank you. Nicole, are most of the properties, like the waterways we're talking, or waterway, I keep calling them waterways, Sycamoose houseboats we're talking about, like rezoning, some zoning. Did we ever look at Shane Yarmley's country residential in town? Did we ever look at changing that? Like, I know we talked to Scott, we went through this with Scott on the whole thing, and is there any more that we need to do before we include them in the amendments?
Through the chair. Well, the country residential, that one was new to me, but I am aware of the Sycamoose houseboats one. And yes, those will have to go forward as well. They're more complicated than the 2 property owners that we have included in this one. So yes, there will be further revisions coming.
Kelly, go ahead.
Yeah, and I can speak to the Shane one. I know we've met with Shane multiple times and we've questioned about whether he wanted to change some of his zones from country residential to more of a highway commercial. And that does trigger some potential MOTI issues. And based on our last discussion, he said he didn't want anything changed.
Okay, anyone else? Councilor McDade.
Yeah, thank you. On the Trans-Canada Highway, the highway frontage one from C2 highway commercial to R1. Wouldn't we want to just keep it grandfathered as R1? A non-conforming, legal non-conforming grandfathered? Because if we change it to R1, that means they could tear down a mobile home or move it and build another house there. Because this is a frontage on the Trans-Canada Highway, why wouldn't we want to keep that commercial? Make it legal non-conforming for the existing owner, but not rezone it so they can rip that down and build another house there.
Point. Comment, Kelly?
Yeah, for clarity, actually in bylaw 101, it was actually residential. So it was a mistake of ours that we switched it to commercial without the property owner knowing.
Oh, that kind of house cleaning.
Yes, like it was.
Yeah. We're adjusting.
Yeah, same with I believe the R1 to MUR1, it was more of a multi-unit residential, and then so it was just an oversight on our end. So we're actually not changing, even though we're changing it from this bylaw, we're changing it back to what it actually was in the original bylaw. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow you.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the reason here. You can see my thoughts on it.
100%.
Absolutely. Councillor Bailey, Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I understand why this is labeled housekeeping, Scott labeled it housekeeping. I just caution that when there's some bigger items in here than just housekeeping. There are elements of it. I just say in the future, maybe let's stay away from that word because it denotes that there's nothing in here that is
Major.
controversial. And there's a couple of things that I have concerns with, not actually just one thing. The rest I don't, and it's around the rail trail. It's around crossing agreements and it's around the whole history of this. And I mean, I won't get into it all now. I mean, it has to come for us for zoning but I really do want to hear from those owners on the path. I think council took a very principled stand and said like, we need to have a fair agreement for them. I'd like to just hear from them again before, and I know that'll be part of the process and maybe they'll come as a delegation, I don't know. But I think we just have to be particularly careful about this. I have lots of questions about why there even needs to be an agreement. I question that. It's a public park, it's publicly owned land, people are crossing it to get to a dock on the other side. You know, that's my view, but I just think we need to hear from the folks that are over there. Yeah.
Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, I had a quick question for Kelly or Bianca, I can't remember. How, when you zone a property, like Malcolm was saying, it's highway commercial and the owner, it's a residential. If it was to go to commercial, would they pay, because it's zoned commercial, would they pay more tax? I was just curious.
No, right now there's a house on it and that's all it's getting used for. So that's what BC assessment looks at. Like if you're allowed, yeah.
The BC assessment doesn't look at zoning at all in terms of how they look at what it's being used for. Zoning is actually irrelevant unless it could be bare land, then it might be a little bit more relevant, but it's really about what is it being used for?
Yeah.
Right?
Bare land is really the only one where they really.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Any other comments? No? Okay. Let's move on then. Thanks, Nicole. Okay, Southern Interior Local Government Association, SILGA. Sarah, do you want to share?
Yes, through the chair. So we have a number of correspondence from the Southern Interior Local Government Association. Staff is looking for direction from council, particularly around resolutions. So the topics that council, the committee, sorry, at this point, would like to have drafted by staff to be reported back that would be submitted to SILGA. The deadline for resolutions is February 29th. As well, we're looking to see if there's interest to nominate the district for a Community Excellence Award. That is due February 5th. And there's also the option for members of council to respond to the call for nominations. That deadline is also February 29th. Open for council discussion.
Thank you. Can you tell us a bit about, because we're overachievers here, all of us, I think, what the Community Excellence Award entails?
Yes, through the chair. So we would submit a letter to SILGA outlining which category the district would like to be considered for. So I think there's social responsibility. Sorry, I can't read that right now. Environmental sustainability and economic development. There's 3 categories.
Okay.
The district did submit for Community Excellence Award in 2022 under social responsibility for the Community Health Center. Unfortunately, we were not successful at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Wonder why not?
That's okay. Go ahead, Malcolm.
I wonder why not? Was there a reason? Did they get reasoning behind not being successful?
So at the time, Jennifer Bruns was here and I was looking back through emails. There wasn't an explanation as to why, just that the district of Sycamoose was not selected.
Okay. Counselor Beach?
To the chair, could it have been because it was too far in advance of, like it hadn't pressed far enough or whatever? I don't know. I mean, it seems pretty good. And if you look at the fact that we're also got a housing project on the horizon, I think we're in a a much stronger position even than we were then and starting on the healing center. I don't know.
So council, would you like to direct staff to perhaps look at what's required and if we do fit into one of these categories and if we should send a letter? Councillor McCabe.
Well, I think we should narrow it down to one of the three categories. My thought is, like Councillor Beach is speaking about is housing, and specifically, I think the housing on fronting Main Street where we're seeing the need for more commercial, and so we're taking the lead in doing that ourselves. And then at the same time, we're creating housing for potentially young families is what we're earmarking it for. And so, I mean, in a nutshell, we've convinced the developer to come and invest $20 million in our community for just in Canberra stuff for a housing project and more commercial space on Main Street. I think what would that fall under? What category?
Kelly?
That's more economic development and social.
Social stewardship. Sorry, I'm trying to open the attachment. It's not opening again.
What was it? What were the three categories answered? Social.
Social responsibility.
Economic development.
Environmental sustainability and economic.
So that'd be social and economic, our housing thing with our private developer. I think BC Housing has even come to us and said, that's a great model. Can we use your example? So if they want to use us as an example, that must be pretty excellent.
Good point. Good point. Siobhan, Councillor Rich, sorry.
Through the chair, just on a different angle is I kind of feel like we're grasping for straws here. And if we don't have stuff done or ready to go, like maybe this is a year or two that when we've got a building built, but we're looking for something like, hey, what did we do? And I don't know if this is a good use of staff time. I mean, we were talking about this yesterday about that we are really pushing staff and there's places where we're short staff and we're like, okay, let's direct staff to go do this. And I don't feel like we've got any shovels in the ground. I think we've got lots of great potential and I think we're doing a good job. I don't know if this is a good use of staff time to try to dig up something that we're doing really good. I think we're doing lots of stuff good. I just don't know if this is the platform we need right now. And maybe it's next year or the year after we've cut a ribbon and got our health center open or we've got our buildings in place. That's my
good point. Good point. Councillor Evans.
What she said.
Okay.
I agree with.
I agree. Councillor Rich.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Rich. I think we're all kind of on the same page. And although I know that we are overachievers and yeah, exactly. And we're like really super excited, but okay, you're probably right. And I think staff will thank you. Hey, all right. So does anyone want to be nominated for Silga? I think there's nominations for different positions. Anyone? Okay.
Oh, did you? Oh, no, I don't want to be nominated for Silga.
Go ahead.
Did you skip over resolutions?
I'm gonna get to that. I wanted to do that one first and then get back to resolutions. Yeah, exactly. Because I think resolutions are a little bit more of a topic here. So I know that just going on to the next section there, the Residential Tenancy Act, which I don't know even if we could do. And I really want us to move with a resolution, but I don't know what it would look like because I don't think we've got enough information to say with conviction that this is a better solution. So I'm not even sure that. So I'm going to toss it out to you guys. Is there anything that you want to move forward with that we are? Sarah, do you want to go ahead?
Sorry, through the chair, just on your point about the Residential Tenancy Act, at the last council meeting, I believe, or committee meeting, it was referred to the housing committee, so it'll actually be discussed tomorrow. So maybe there'll be more information that comes from that
Sure, that's right. I saw that on there. Yeah, that's great. Anyone else? Anyone have any burning resolutions? Yes. Oh, my God.
Do I have the floor?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Oh, you've got paper.
Brought paper.
Okay, I'm not gonna hand it out because, okay, so just to try and catch it so that you get where I'm going. Last year, we had a resolution that we put forward, on asking the province to take more serious and more immediate action on the invasive mussel issue. And so I had asked Kelly and Sarah if I could see sort of more of a history of how long we've all been at this, asking for. And so they brought me the material, and I've kind of been looking at how long all of the municipalities, or many of us, have been asking for action, and how little anything has progressed. In fact, it's gone backwards since our peak time of having 12 stations in 2019. So I'm thinking, I know we can't put forward another resolution exactly like the one we did last year, but I feel like I've gathered enough evidence that things have just been, we keep asking, other municipalities keep asking, nothing's moving forward, nothing's changing. BC is the only province that doesn't have a mandated unplug and drain. Every other province has this. There are templates out there. The Okanagan Basin Water Board created a template and circulated it. And I mean, I'm reading the comment from the provincial, the response to that was, will you please send it around to everybody else? It's like, this is not our job anymore, looking after this. So I'm kind of feeling like we need to keep at this. I don't want us to not put something forward and make it look like we've given up, because we can't give up. This is really seriously an emergency now, especially now that Snake River has produced larvae. We know that they're there, and that's 11 hours from the Osoyoos Lake. It's going to show up in our province, and we need to be ready for it. So I really feel that we need to take a new approach with a new resolution and some data showing them how much we have been asking, how long we have been asking, how many times people have made suggestions on how we could be planning better or be better prepared, to show them that this is just not, it's not, well, I kind of feel like it's gross negligence, because we're the ones that are going to be footing the bill and trying to manage this issue. Because we didn't stop the progression of the mussel, and maybe we won't, but I still think that we've had not enough help from the province, and we need to do another resolution. So I'm hoping that council will support that. I think there's a lot of data and statistics that we can use to sort of have a new approach to a resolution to take to Silga. And I think that everybody at Silga will get on board. They'll understand the frustration of asking for action and seeing it go in a complete opposite direction. Anyways, that's what I'm going to say. I've got stats. I'm not going to make you read them. I'm just going to say, I think we need to go at it again.
Okay, Kelly, then Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, and further to that, I just wanted to mention that that Sarah and I did meet with Pam to go over some of her concerns, and staff thought, you know what, there was a way we could work together to try to draft up something a little different, where we, you know, comment about all these things that have happened in the past, and that we want to ensure that we're at least meeting or exceeding what some other provinces are doing as a result of. So anyways, if council is okay to allowing us to work on this, we can work on something. And then we still have multiple council meetings before these resolutions are actually due. And so we can craft, it's a work in progress, right? Yeah.
Sir Bailey.
Yeah, so I've been talking to a lot of business owners lately and, you know, obviously I'm one, and so I see a lot of it. I think others here are, well, we've had a couple of challenging summers. You know, we have some headwinds that are, you know, really affecting our business climate here, whether we're talking about the recent NOI notation of interest that we have on development or docks and all these other things, which are central to our community, central to our economy. And we also have had forest fires and heavy smoke, and the threat of that is also impacting our community. And I wonder if there is something around this where we should be talking about the resiliency of economies like ours. We know that in the span of 3 to 4 months, businesses here live and die by that 3 or 4 months. If we have a summer where there is no tourists or anything that shows up, there's a ton of businesses that ultimately become very susceptible to failure. That's the risk of syphilis. But the times have changed, right? Before you'd have a forest fire season here or there. Now we're getting them multiple years and every year, and that's impacting it. And I think you can go around town and you could ask everybody, what was the last 2 weeks of August this year? Once the province said everybody leave, and they'll all tell you horrible, down 50-60%. Like that's how dramatic it was. And then, you know, the year that we almost burnt down as a town, it was dramatic again. So in the 2 of the last 3 years, we've seen great impacts, not just here, but throughout the Okanagan region and other regions in small towns. And I think that is not necessarily taken very seriously at the provincial level, the massive impacts that have, and the massive knock-on effects that has for local economies like ours. I mean, we have no boating cities in one summer. What does Sycamoose look like, right? And that's a possibility. You know, let's say, you know, everyone's concerned this year about how dry it is. And if forest fire season starts in June and we're socked in with smoke, do people come here? And if they don't, that affects hotels. It affects even places like grocery stores, Askews, boating. And there's probably not a business in our entire region that would not be impacted by that. And so I wonder, should we be having a Silga resolution to highlight that and to say that there needs to be a better way to, I think, future cast or have some resiliency around this. I mean, we have environmental standards and resiliency, but I think we have to start thinking about economic resiliency, because it is becoming a thing with climate change. And how does that get communicated? I know the Chamber of Commerce and many other tourist organizations had a lot of difficulties with the announcement from the provincial government this year. They weren't consulted. It was just done. Don't go there, leave. And we saw the impact in our community for that. So just kind of a discussion around it. I know we've been talking about these issues on a lot of different fronts. And I'm just wondering if it's time to kind of put that into a resolution that we can say, you know, small communities kind of matter too. Our economies matter. No, we're not the Lower Mainland, but you start adding this all up, these small communities in the Okanagan and other places throughout BC, the tourism sector means a lot, it's billions of dollars. And it shouldn't just be overlooked because we're kind of small, but in the summertime, we're not. So it's an economic driver, I think, for the whole province that needs to be looked at. Just my thoughts for a potential resolution.
Good points. I'm just, you know, to the Quaker the mussels, I'm thinking, and I know that you can put something together, but how many times do we have to take this to Silga? Do you know how many resolutions for mussels there are in the Silga binder? So I guess, yeah, just give me 1 second. So why don't we shift gears and not take this to Silga? Why don't we shift gears with mussels and form some sort of a committee or a group that doesn't go to Silga now? Now we're going to the feds, because this is now a federal problem, and you can, you know, in some of our correspondence, they've mentioned that as well. So maybe we should put together a little a few people from Kelowna, because they're actually leading this project and they have been for a long time. So talk to Anne in Kelowna and get someone here, and then, you know what, and then go to Victoria, get on board with Greg, and then maybe we go a little bit, get on board with Mel, because I mean, Mel's on this, like Mel talks about this continually. Mel's, sitting in Ottawa going, come on, so maybe it's, because Silga will take Silga, then to UBCM, and then to FCM, and like, we're looking at another 2 years before this gets anywhere. So, and I'm just spitballing here. I don't know how to do this, and I don't know what this looks like, because I've never done it before, but maybe we need to form a little coalition of people that really go around and rally. And, Sheila's here, and with the chamber supporting this little group that's going, to Kelowna, and then going to Victoria, and then going to, I don't know, does anybody, yeah, go ahead.
Just to ask through the chair, are you suggesting that it's just a little coalition specific to invasive muscle?
To that,
a state,
yes,
not
to that one, but to Ian's point, we could put another.
There is a council, right? There is a larger council, the invasive.
For sure, but they're not succeeding either. So we've got all of these groups fighting against,
province.
The province to do the right thing, and it's just not working. So I don't know how we get the province to work for the people and start listening.
Okay, can I?
Go ahead.
Just a thought, based on how quickly things changed when we claimed that the Brun Bridge and the road were a national disgrace. I guess maybe I was thinking that if we could put forward a solution that really showed that it was a gross negligence. There is stuff being done by other provinces and the United States way ahead of BC. BC is an embarrassment. I'm embarrassed when I look at what we're doing. And I read the letters and I hear it coming back that, well, we can assure you that we're doing this and we've got it under control kind of attitude. We don't have it under control. That's the whole issue. And I guess I feel like maybe if we did it this year and approached it in a look at what you've been ignoring and what's not happening, and look at what because other provinces are dealing with federal regulations and they've got stuff in place. They've got pull your plug and drain legislation in place. Alberta's got a canine unit that sniffs it out, 100% sniffs out the detection of these mussels. It's not like other provinces aren't keeping the mussel out. And they're doing all this stuff, and so is the states. But BC seems to be thinking, oh, well, I think Alberta's got it under control. And I think maybe the US has got it under control. So let's just go with what we've got and not really put anything more into it.
Councillor Bailey.
I think we're getting to something that I just mentioned. It's about the economy. And I think that's one of the big. Yeah, and I think this is where there's something here that small communities have to start talking about, saying, hey, we matter too when it comes to these issues. And certainly with the mussel issue, that's a huge hit on the economy potentially. Huge hit on fires, huge hit on transportation, the Brun Bridge. Like, you can go down this list and pretty much show, unfortunately, we don't matter on some of these issues, but it's directly impacting economic development. It's directly impacting quality of life for our citizens. It's not just about money. It's about how that economic hurt affects people who live here and jobs and everything else. And what we've always talked about mussels was that's a potential major hurt for the community, for jobs, for people's livelihoods. So I wonder if we start thinking about this in a different way and saying, we need to take seriously all of these impacts on small communities on an economic side. And it could also be a rallying cry to the other small communities around here, because we're not the only one going through this. You can go to any small community and say, how is all these changes kind of impacting you, whether it's mussels or whether it's forest fires or even how we affect fires, how we fight fires and how BC Wildfire approaches that. These are all having major impacts. And I think this has been a new thing in the last 3 or 4 years. People have really started seeing this. I think we're going to see more, but it's probably time that we start those discussions, because how this impacts us versus how it impacts larger cities like Vancouver or Victoria, it's a world of difference. I've lived in Vancouver and you would hear forest fire season, right? But we never really got smoke down there. We never really saw that impact. But you move out of it and then you start impacting vast regions of this province, and it's all small kind of communities. I mean, Kelowna being the larger one last year, but even them, you can take a look at the massive economic impact that had on them. And same things with the mussels. So I think there's something here we can do on the economic side that covers a lot of it, but also proves our point that we need more resources and more attention to rural economic or smaller town economic development, and just a general attention from province and feds. Because I think we are on the front lines of a lot of this immediate impact that other towns aren't quite getting to it yet, but they will.
Yeah, thanks. Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, no, all good points. I agree with Pam and I agree with Ian. I mean, the squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thing. It's even like the NOI that you're talking about. There is a group that is together, a consortium there, and they're planning on doing their thing on Thursday night, their initial meeting through the ECDEV, Economic Development Corporation, our ECDEV, and Carly's kind of spearheaded it, but they formed a society, and it's the Sickles Narrows Enhancement Society or Environmental Society. And they're concerned about the way the things are going on the NOI. They're concerned about all kinds of things like the docks and dock removal and all that. So it's for the owners that live on the channel. And so they're having this meeting at 7 o'clock on Thursday, but it's not a private meeting, but you got to be an owner. And I sent them an article on the weekend, Todd and Mike and Carly, and there's an NOI going on in Pender Harbor. And it's been going on for a long time, and Saginaw Lake, and they got to remove their boathouses. They gotta downsize all their docks because of these agreements that have been signed with First Nations. And now they've given power to First Nations to oversee the foreshore leases and things like that. So it's a big picture out there, and everybody's getting a little bit fancy. They're worried about, especially small communities, because it's their livelihood. It's their livelihood, and it's kudos to them for acknowledging and waking up, going, holy Christ, this NOI now could be a big problem. It's just the start of something. So, yeah, should we put to a resolution for mussels? I know they haven't. We've given lip service, or they give us back lip service. But if you don't keep at them, they just forget about them. So I have no problem with that.
Yeah. Should it be to the federal government though? Because they're sitting at the federal government. And just to your point about the, because there is a lot of resolutions that have gone to FCM that are in there about invasive species and the plans to what we need to implement. And to your point, Gord, I think that right now we're being very forward thinking right now. Like, I think we see the writing on the wall. I think that's why we're looking at that's why the channel has got a consortium now. And that's why we're looking at a headwater lease and looking at Keith Weir to help us navigate all of this stuff right now. Cause it's still ours. Like, no one's taking that away from us. but we want more control. So we're not, our direction isn't to give away control right now. I think our direction is to get control back. So, or keep control and have more control. So, yeah. Sarah, did you want to go ahead with something?
Oh, sorry, through the chair. I just wanted to mention that the resolution that was submitted to SILGA and UBCM regarding the invasive mussel defense program was endorsed, and we typically see responses from the government in February, so that will be coming. Also on the regular council meeting, there's correspondence from Parliamentary Secretary Kelly Green that they're doing the Wildlife Act review currently, and they're looking for input. So part of that is that pull the plug legislation. Just a heads up on that, but you know, after talking with Councillor Beach and Kelly, we have an idea of how to craft it, so staff can write something and bring it back for you guys to use for sure, just on that piece alone.
But I think to Ian's point though, as well, we should look at another one, a bigger picture, one that does protect our, you know, our community and our residents and so Ian, maybe you can come up with, you know, something that we can share. Councillor Beach, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify that this issue is not only ours, it's every municipality that has a water infrastructure system.
Yeah.
They're drawing water from rivers and lakes. We all are. And if any of our lakes in BC get infested with this mussel, then the cost of checkpoints and monitoring and keeping it out is going to be exponential. And I'm not seeing, in just looking, I'm not seeing big cities like Kamloops expressing concern, but they should be, because they could be paralyzed as well if it gets into their water infrastructure. We all could. Kelowna could be.
Yep. They're very loud.
It's just phenomenal, and it's annual to keep them clear, right? So we need to stop it. We need to stop it at some point.
Yeah.
And then deal with the lake differently.
Councillor Evans.
Yeah, I just would like to agree with everything and just say that I think we should send more resolutions to SILGA, UBCM and FTM. Like, let's just keep chipping away at it.
And I
Noisy.
I agree. And I think to the feds to take it, just keep writing letters to everyone, like not just stop at SILGA, just keep moving forward. Councillor Bushel, Councillor Ritchie. And then we'll.
Two quick ones. When we do a resolution, it's SILGA, it goes from SILGA to UBCM. And if it's like federal, does it get to the federal FCM?
FCM, yeah.
Yeah, it went to the FCM.
Yep. So, yeah.
Keep pounding away.
Through the chair, you have to specify in the resolution that you want UBCM to lobby the province and submit it to FCM. Otherwise, you have to submit it separately, which we did last year, I believe. But so we'll just craft that into the wording if we want it to go to FCM as well.
Okay, go ahead.
And then one other one, and I'm not sure if everybody's keen on this, but I did bring it up to Colleen. And I talked to Louise Wallace in Salmon Arm. She's a counselor in Salmon Arm, and she sits on the chair of the airport. And if you try to find a hangar at an airport in Vernon or Salmon Arm or Revelstoke, it's like you gotta put your name in for a life lottery. It's just really hampering the area for economic development. Even Kelowna has nothing. And Louise thought maybe it should be a SILGA resolution, like a joint resolution or something. So I just thought I'd bring it up. I don't know. You just can't find a hangar anywhere. It's just impossible. It really hampers, the area. So.
Councillor Rich. Thanks.
Through the chair. Yeah, I agree with Ian. I also agree with Pam. I just brought this letter up, which we're going to talk about later, but which was written December 15th. And she thanks us for our time about talking about the mussels. And she says, zebra mussels have not been found in British Columbia.
No.
And that was September. I sat with Eric from Conservation over a grizzly bear, and he's like, oh yeah, we've got some mussels. So I think we do have to keep moving on this, and I don't know what the direction is, but I think we have to take every angle we can. we've got a really huge lake that's very popular with people from all over, Canada and the United States. And so I agree with Pam that we need to take a different angle on this. But I think we do also agree with Colleen that we do have to go BC federal, like, we just need to keep jumping up and down on this because no one's really taking it seriously enough. And when we've got a minister dated with a letter from December 15th that says mussels haven't been detected, and we know for a fact that there has been, and that's not, calling this person out, but the information is obviously not going where it needs to be.
Are you saying mussels like zebra and quagga in BC?
They were detected.
No, they haven't been.
Now,
Yeah, no, I got a report from invasive species not that long ago.
okay.
Yeah, so if conservation is saying, and the only reason I'm saying this is because people send me pictures of mussels in the lake all the time. Because we do have mussels and little clams here. So I get that all the time. I get pictures all the time, but no, we don't have.
I'll look it up.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Okay, one more.
Just one of the stats. There are 16 border crossings officially between the US and the lower border of BC. There are 2 checkpoints. 16 official border crossings across the bottom of BC, 2 checkpoints, one at Osoyoos, one at Yak. Tell me how we are catching all of the boats that are coming up into BC with 2 checkpoints. And it's not mandatory to go through those checkpoints. So they have to stop if they go through when it's open. And ours aren't open 24/7. They're only open until 4 if we're lucky. It's just inadequate. And so I hate to be a pessimist, but we're not catching the mussels. They're coming in and we're not catching them. So we need to be, this is an emergency as far as I'm concerned. Thanks. If you want to know more, I've got a whole page.
I like this new aggressive side of you, Pam.
Going on something.
Okay, let's move on, Kate, because we're gonna.
Hey.
What do you mean? So staff will work with specific counselors on a resolution about economic resiliency and providing more resources for small town economic development. We'll work with Councillor Ian Bailey, one on invasive on mussels.
You've already,
Yeah, and then the tenancy, something about the Tenancy Act in BC.
When it goes to the house,
Yeah.
Siobhan is working and Malcolm, I think, is working.
3 main topics.
Yeah.
But like Sarah mentioned, wait until provincial government responds to UBCM on those resolutions, because that's what we would want to respond to their response, I would think, right?
And these resolutions
February.
will do, I believe, February 20th.
February 29th is when they have to be submitted. But of course, we want to bring them forward for you to look at as a group and bless them before they're sent.
Craft them.
I don't know exactly if it's the beginning of February when the responses come, but that's an interesting tactic, like I've done that before. Wait on the muscle piece at least.
Well, you don't want to miss the window either.
Yeah.
Okay. And just one further point to Councillor Bush's point about the hangars. To me, that sounds like something that would be good for CSRD, right? Because it's covers salmon arm and sicamous, but I don't know if CSRD does submit any resolutions, and I don't know much about the hanger situation, but I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, Louise is the chair, so I said I'd just bring it up and just, let you guys know, and we'll kind of talk to her and see what they think, Salmon Arm Council thinks.
Okay. All right, we can move on. Okay, we're at councillor reports and strategic priorities update. Councillor Evans, do you want to start?
Yeah, December was crazy good, crazy busy. I'm still recovering from it, but it was good to even go to the early years fair, and excited next week that we have our interagency meeting here on Tuesday, and we talked about how great all the Christmas events were, and yeah, it was fantastic.
Councillor Rich.
Lots of great Christmas stuff. Just kudos to everybody for December. What a good show for everyone in town. I volunteered with the Eagles last weekend, and that was kind of fun to be out and about. I was in the beer garden, so that was more fun. But it was good to meet some different people and be out in the arena. And on December 20th, Gord and I met with the CSRD and Derek regarding the arena, and that was a good meeting also.
Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, I attended that meeting with Siobhan. That was really good. Felt really good about having that meeting. I also went to the grand opening of the Paradise. They had their laundromat grand opening.
That's right.
And that was just wonderful. The food was top and the gifts and things like that. There was they had all kinds of stuff there. So that was really good. And then lately, been out in the community lots, just walking around, taking walks and running into all kinds of new people. And the other day we were in the nature park and ran into a young girl, just moved here she's been here for 3 months, and she wants to open a business. So, but you can't find any on Main Street. She wants to be on Main Street. There is no place on Main Street. So I drove her around yesterday, and it was just, it was really uplifting. And then after we finished talking with her for about an hour in the dog park, we finished going around, not the dog park, the nature park. We got to the other side and met another young girl that just moved to town, and she wants to open a business, her and her husband. So yeah, it's just really amazing that you have all these young new people moving to the community. Yeah, they have dogs, of course.
Is it
And
is it a big black dog? Puffy?
Yeah, the big black one?
Puffy or
No, Tula.
Hula?
It's a male.
I ran into that lady. Yeah, she mentioned she wanted to open up a business in town.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good news, Councillor McKay.
Yeah, not much. With Eagle Valley Transportation, we helped the seniors relocate to the Pine Motel this morning because there's some renovations at the lodge.
Okay. Yeah.
Seniors out. That was interesting. Walkers, wheelchairs, air tanks.
We're getting there.
So there's some renovations going on in the lodge, and putting in a new roof and an HVAC system and stuff like that. Yeah, that's about it. Housing committee meeting tomorrow. That's about all I have to report. Over the Christmas holidays, of course, community just shone with the Christmas train and the Christmas parade and the Christmas tree light up. Yeah, just very proud to be part of that community.
Thank you. How many seniors did you move?
Well, there's only 10 at the lodge. The families moved 2, so we moved about 7, I think. And some at snail's pace.
And how long till the renos are done?
I think they'll be in the Pine Motel for a couple of weeks.
Okay, I think it's.
Or longer. Well, Pam's on it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, some of them did go to families. There were a couple of them that were taken by their families, and about 7, I think, that are ending up in the Pines. And yeah, it's gonna be, they're telling them that it's gonna be a month or more. So it's a long displacement for them. I hope that they do well. We'll be taking services to them at the Pine to help them adjust, but there's no way they can get together. There's no big space where you can do stuff with them. So it's going to be interesting. Anyways, so yeah, I'm cognizant of all of that stuff, but so from my point of view, I think that the preparation coming up to December to Christmas was amazing. I just want to reiterate how wonderful it was to have council support the Smiley Cookie campaign, because ultimately that sealed a very strong support relationship with Tim Hortons, which we then benefited from again at the holiday train. They donated, all of their cookies and all of their hot chocolate and coffee which in past years we've been paying for, they donated everything. So the thing that happened, the relationship with Tim Hortons was crazy. And they were so impressed. They were so impressed that the celebrities from the community came to their, and that we sold like $1,500 worth of cookies. Like we raised that much. So it was amazing. It was really good. And it spilled over into the holiday train and everything. So yeah, it was a great effort. And I want to thank council for the support and already to Daryl and the staff, you know, just making that holiday train again.
And thank you to you as well for organizing all that, and making all that happen. That happened magically.
Yeah, no, our people worked hard for that. But you know what? It was a huge success. And I think that what impresses all of the people that are getting behind the work that we do, that the community does, is the participation. It is the support that they feel coming from this community for something really important, and it impresses them no end because they don't see it. They don't see it in any other places. And the Smiley Cookie campaign, nowhere did the Smiley Cookie campaign do as well as it did in Sicamous. And that's when you're dealing with a population in Winfield or in Kelowna, or the guy just couldn't believe it. So that kind of support makes patients like Tim Hortons want to work with you. And I think that's what we're going to see.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I just want to say thank you very much for your support as well. It's the team thing that makes it.
Absolutely. Teamwork makes the dream work. Councillor Bailey.
A note, yes. Lots of constituent meetings actually the last month. It's funny, I've been drinking lots of coffee, things like that, but you also met with the new general manager of Sled Sicamous. That was part councillor hat, part businessman hat. We're a big sponsor of them on the business side this year. And so we're happy to do that. And, you know, just having lots of discussions with them too, just generally about how we can take this sport and amplify our, you know, I've talked about the winter potential here in Sicamous and trying to get that dialed in. I think they have a lot of really good ideas. I'm trying to get a lot of businesses involved in that as well, in terms of how do we make Sicamous a winter destination? It is on the sled side. How do we get it to become bigger and better? And some of the things that could involve some families as well, right? So I think really trying to get my head wrapped around what's the potential for economic growth here in the winter as we see summer becoming a little more precarious. And there's some good ideas out there that I think we need to harness. Over the Christmas break, I kind of developed a little bit of a counselor reading list. So I've been going through some neat and interesting books on how to do some things and around economic development mostly. But yeah.
Awesome.
What I've been working on.
Thank you. Thanks. I would, you know, I mean, you guys are obviously meeting with folks and I think there's so many positive things going on in Sicamous. When I was out right before Christmas there and shopping and the beach chick was open this year, like things are just starting to be more positive and there's more energy. And if we can harness that and keep running with it, I think that we're going to be such a success story. I mean, we already are, but there's a lot of great things going on. And Daryl, your team did a great job, you know, from the holiday train, which was, I don't know how many people were there. Like 600.
Saying 500.
I would say at least 500 this year, which is.
It was amazing. It was people as far as you could see and people were parked everywhere. And it was just a brilliant event. And yes, and the parade downtown, and we're just stepping up and your team is stepping up and Jamie's, like, everyone is. So I think it's something that we should all be really, as Malcolm said, we should all be really proud of and keep moving with all that positive energy. But yeah, that's basically, I've just been out and about a lot and everyone that I run into has been sharing nothing but positive news and how happy they are. So I think we're heading in the right direction. Okay, so we are going to Kelly.
Sorry, I don't have a counselor's report, but I did want to briefly touch on a little workshop that we can get together and kind of look at our strategic priorities.
Sure.
See if we wanted to do any updates. And I just wanted to make sure it's really important that all of council can make it. So if I think the 26th works for everybody except for probably you, Councillor Bailey, which is fine. There's lots of other days in the month. So I thought maybe we could have an opportunity now to have a quick chat to see if there's a better or even a better time. Like I'm thinking the morning 9 to 12. I don't know if you want to prefer evening or a different day. If you can't do the 26th, what about the Friday after, February 2nd? 3 weeks in between the January 24th meeting and the February 14th meeting. So it might be nice to put something in between there because there's a little bit more break.
Second would work for me. Also the Thursday, the day before would work.
25th.
25th would, it's just, I have to drive to Kelowna that morning.
No, I completely understand. So for the rest of council, the 25th of January or the 2nd of February?
Either but work for me.
Either's good for me.
Yeah.
You're fine. Okay, so if there's a preference, you guys can pick. I'm fine.
Why don't we just go the day before? Why don't?
Yeah.
25th?
January.
25th.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so we have council on the 24th and then we'll meet the next morning, so it'll be a lot of council with council, but I'm fine with that. I'm just reminding you that we have a meeting. A
Oh.
very long day on the 24th, we have finance, right?
Second,
Second?
Or the
Councillor Evans.
February 2.
Okay, I'm good with February 2nd.
I'm good with February.
February 2nd's fine.
February
Okay,
2nd.
let's do it. Lock it in.
Okay, we'll send you a little, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll send you a little meeting request. Okay.
Okay.
The second, sorry, you were trying to put that on the late agenda as a topic to put it under strategic priorities, but then in your email, didn't you also suggest to discuss the concept of portfolios?
Yeah, which are tied to our strategic priorities.
So do we have time to do that?
Sorry, no, not right now.
Not today, that will,
Not today. We're going into in camera. I got
yeah, that,
get public input first and then we'll keep moving.
correct, that'll be part of our workshop.
Oh, okay.
We'll have discussion about all that together at the same time.
Okay. Okay, so we are going to, is there anyone online that wants to make any comments? Any public input? No?
How about the galley?
You're the gal. Okay, so I'm just gonna adjourn this meeting. Okay, so recommendation of the committee of the whole meeting for January the 10th, 2020 be adjourned at 3:07. I get a mover. Councillor Bailey, Councillor McCabe, all in favor? Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. I would then